Hello. Today we're going to do a replay analysis of a Vengeful Spirit. The Vengeful Spirit in this game is currently about 2700 MMR, and so this is a normal skill game. Now first off, before we start, I do want to let you know that I'm not personally a huge Vengeful Spirit player. So if you hear something that contradicts what I say from a much more experienced player on the hero, you may want to take their advice instead. However, I do play support a lot, so I will be able to critique your support play this game, in general that is. Now first off, it looks like you're going to ward the middle lane here, and there's a specific way you need to be really careful about doing that, and I'm going to see how you go about there. Okay. Yeah, you messed up. Okay, so this is a mistake that I see tons of players do at this rating. So, in case you missed it, you probably figured this out yourself, but you walked right up into the division and you placed a ward right here. Now, you know what, I'll be honest, it's 2k MMR, so your opponents almost assuredly did not buy sentries to start with, and they may not even de-ward you for the entire game. But I think it's important to try to play your best, even if it may necessarily work at your MMR. Like, for example, if you placed the ward, if you walked around like over here and placed the ward here, they wouldn't see it. Or if you walked like right up here and placed the ward over here, they wouldn't see it either. And both of those places would still give you like most of the same necessary vision. There's not really a significant change there. And like I said, you're probably not going to get punished for this, but in this play, like, doing it the quote-unquote safe way isn't going to hurt you at all. Like, it really is not going to hurt you. So I would try to make a habit of that if you could, because currently I'm about 5.3 thousand MMR, and I see lots of players just de-ward immediately if anyone does this. Like, it just immediately goes down. So something to keep in mind for the future. Just be wary of where your enemies see you place the wards. Even if they don't de-ward you, they still might be able to see you place it.
30 seconds to battle.
And next, let's go ahead and talk about your starting items. So this game, you started with 1 ward, 3 clarities, a ring of protection, and a set of tangos. Now, to be honest, I'm not a fan of this, and I'll explain why. So, I don't know if the Wind Ranger is going to come to your lane. So actually, let's go ahead and see if she comes to your lane, because I can't see your allied chat. I have no idea if you guys communicated this out or not. So let's go ahead and jump ahead a bit and see if anything happens, and then I'll be able to go ahead and tell you. Okay. So it looks like Wind Ranger's heading bot with Axe. That's perfectly fine, but there's something to keep in mind here. So here's the thing. You are solo supporting against what is most likely going to be a dual lane, a lane with 2 heroes, and you bought 1 set of regen. You bought 1 set of tangos, and that is literally all you have. Now, as a support, you have to be really careful about what regen you buy and how much at the start of the game, because if you don't buy enough regen, then you might effectively just lose the lane, like entirely. Because if you use all those 4 tangos, and you're no longer able to trade with the enemy, then you have to back off and either buy more regen, or go use the shrine, or go all the way back to fountain. And you do not want to do any of those in the early game, because like I said, they can lose you the game, they can effectively zone out your Wraith King carry that's going to be farming here, or they can perhaps kill him. So one thing you could have done was, if you're a solo support in a lane that's most likely going to be dual, you definitely want to have at least 2 sets of regen. In fact, as a support, I almost never buy only 1 set of regen, unless I am a very hard support and I'm like buying literally the ward, 2 wards, a courier, a sentry, and pulling my mid. And I know that the lane is going to be very easy for us. That's the only time I do that. And honestly, at your rating, it might be even more important to start with more sets of regen, So the standard for most supports is one set of tangos and a salve. Now what you could have done here was you could have bought a set of tangos, a salve, and a branch in addition to all this. Or, because Vengeful Spirit actually isn't that extremely mana dependent, you could get away with 2 clarities and 2 branches. Because, you see, if you look at your mana here, one thing you want to make sure is that you have enough mana for 2 of your magic missiles. So that way, maybe if you get in a gank later, you can use it twice in the gank, or just have enough mana to use it without having to back off for a long time. And if you have 1 branch, that gives you 218 mana, which means that 2 missiles cost 220 mana. So by the time your second missile is off cooldown, you'll definitely be able to use it again. There are a lot of supports who can start with 3 clarities, but I don't necessarily think Venge is one of them. You definitely need 1 or 2, but I think 3 is just a little bit overkill. Oh, and another thing. So, in the thread, I know you said that you like to buy a Ring of Protection because it builds into a Basilius. But here's the thing about Basilius. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay. So, here's what a Ring of Basilius gives you. It gives you 7 damage, 0.65 mana per second, and 2 bonus armor, as well as the bonus armor and mana regen being given to your allies. Now, an Aquila Ring gives you effectively 19 damage, 3 strength and intelligence, 9 agility, and the same mana and armor bonuses as before as an aura. Now, the thing is, Basilius and Ring of Aquila just really are not that good on supports these days. And the reason is because there are so many more options for regeneration. Back about 3 years ago, you would sometimes see supports like Venge and Warlock building a Ring of Basilius, and that was just because there was really no other better option, honestly. But nowadays, things have much changed. Wand is better than it used to be. It's cheaper and also gives more stats. And you also have raindrops. And raindrops are the big one because they're actually better for your own personal mana. So an infused raindrop gives you a mana regen of 0.85 in addition to the magic damage block it does. So that means that over 100 seconds, your infused raindrop is going to heal 85 mana, while your Basilius is only going to give you 65 mana. Now that's a difference of about 30% or so. That's a pretty big difference. And I mean, yes, the thing is that raindrops can go away if the enemy does use magic damage on you. The raindrops will get used up. However, the entire point is that you can use the raindrops at a much lower cost to give you the mana you need at the start of the game. You're not going to need Basilius and Aquila the entire game. Generally, as a Vengeful Spirit, getting a magic wand along with arcanes or a medallion is going to give you enough mana to use your spells. I mean, if you take a look at your spells, Magic Missile is moderately expensive. Wave of Terror is very cheap at 40 mana per level. Vengeance Aura, it costs nothing to you. And then you just have your ultimate, which is, it's moderately expensive, but it's really not too bad. Especially because you're going to be using Nether Swap in the beginning of most engagements, either to save a hero or to catch out one of theirs. You're usually not going to run into issues where you can't cast this one, at least. So really, these days, it's just not necessary as a support. Now, as a carry Venge, that's another issue entirely, because for a carry Venge, it gives her a bunch of damage and some attack speed and some armor. And that's really important because that helps her farm a lot if she's in a carry position, so she'll be given more space to farm, if that makes any sense. Additionally, as a carry, Venge would be getting much more gold, and thus would not suffer the same loss as a support Venge is going to come from spending 1,000 gold on a Ring of Aquila. Like, spending this 985 gold here, this could be spent on an Aether Lens, Force Staff, Glimmer Cape, Medallion, Solar Crest, Lotus Orb. Honestly, tons of things here. Like, those aren't necessarily items you should buy every game, but they're just examples of what you could spend that money on instead. So personally, I just don't feel like it's worth it on support Venge all that often. And I actually went through Dota Buff and checked some high-level Venge players, and Dota Buff does a pretty good job of categorizing support versus core roles, and you'll notice that most support Venges completely skip the Aquila and the Bassi, while core Venges will pick it up along the way. Let's see you handle this lane. This is a really hard lane for you to handle, because if you walk up to it, the Viper is just going to use the poison attack on you, and the Abaddon has his shield and is also very tanky, and can use that on the Viper as well. So honestly, this is going to be an extremely hard lane for you, especially when you don't have another support to help. Unfortunately, in these situations, Venge just is not a great hero. Not that you shouldn't have picked her, it's just something that you're going to have to learn to deal with. Especially at your rank where dual off lanes may be more common. And the issue right now is that you're not really doing anything at all. So right now you're just kind of sitting in lane and walking back and forth. And I mean, there isn't anything you can really do against these heroes. Like, you can't really attack the Viper because he's just going to attack you back and deal more damage. And attacking the Abaddon is probably going to lead to the same thing because the Viper will likely attack you as well. So in this situation, there are a few different things you can do. Now the first one is that you can stack the small camp and then pull it. And what that does is that doing that will allow you to kill your creep wave extremely fast. And in doing so, you will deny both of their offlane heroes the entire experience from that wave. Dual offlanes are extremely dependent on experience, and by denying them that experience, you can get better levels in lane, and hopefully kill them or force them out of lane to secure Wraith King's farm at a later time, hopefully. And the thing is, normally stacking the small camp and then pulling it immediately is not a great idea. And the reason for doing that is because if you do that, then your carry will get attacked by creeps on their tower and have to take a lot of damage. Additionally, attacking last hitting creeps on their tower is a bit more difficult. However, the reason this situation is different is because your carry can't effectively go up and attack the creeps anyways, right? Like, if he walks up to the creep wave, he's just going to get poison attacked by the Viper and attacked by the Abaddon as well. So that's why doing that and forcing your carry to last hit under tower actually isn't that bad of a thing. Actually, your Wraith King didn't start with a stout shield, which was pretty terrible, and that would make you have less of an incentive to pull. But even then, I still think it would probably be worth it. And then you could tell your Wraith King, okay, pull the creeps past the tower a bit. I might give it some space to farm the creep wave. Another thing you could do is you could just sack this lane. Like, as in just tell the Wraith King, okay, just do your best and get the farm you can without dying. And then you could go gank mid. Like, Sniper, his Shrapnel is actually really good for ganking. Because once he hits level 3 or so, he'll have the 20% movement slow if he's leveling correctly, and that can, over a large area, as well as the 35 damage per second, that can be a really easy way to kill people mid. Especially when you see that they're this low, like this tiny is. Speed this up a little bit.
First blood.
And the thing here is, so I know you want to deny creeps so that they'll get less experience and hopefully pull the wave closer to your tower so the Wraith can farm it. But unfortunately, you're just sitting here and letting the Viper auto-attack you. Like, you took about, let's see how much damage you took there, actually. Let's see how much damage, let's see how much health you had when you started. Okay, you had about 500 health. And you went to about 330. You went to about 330 health. So you took about 170 damage. A Tango heals you for 115 health over the duration. You just use like 1.5 Tangos to deny that one creep. And this is especially true because melee creeps only give you like 25 experience or something. I don't remember what the exact number is, but it's honestly not that much. Range creeps are much more valuable in denying because they give 90 experience. And I know that number for a fact. Like, denying that a melee creep there was just not worth the health hit you took, especially because you only started with one set of regen.
Tribute to my house.
Radiant's
Okay, you followed the Abaddon to the rune. Yeah, this was not the best. Okay. So you follow the Abaddon to the rune. But the problem is, your Wraith King's here, and you have no heroes elsewhere on the map to help you right now. It's just you there. And he already got the rune, like he was already going to get it as soon as he walked here. Your stun duration was not even long enough for you to go and grab it. This was effectively a waste of mana, because your level 1 magic missile only does 100 damage, which means it does 75 damage after the standard magic damage resistance for all heroes. And he just takes the damage, but then he turns and attacks you. And take a look at the stats you guys have. You have 49 damage, and he has 71. Also, he has boots, and you don't. So he has a 55 movement speed advantage on you. So right now, you should have just probably maybe gotten a hit or two on him and then turned and ran. But now, because he has Curse of Avernus, that is going to push him to like 400 plus movement speed, and he's may kill you here. Like, you shouldn't have messed with the wave, because you're not going to kill him, and you're not going to do a significant amount of damage to him. This is just going to have to send you back to a fountain or to shrine. It's not really a worthy trade. Especially once you do the shield. Shield has a 110 damage absorption at level 1. So that means that you're going to take about 85 damage from the shield, and he's going to effectively get healed by 110 if he uses the entire shield's absorption. So really there was no reason for you to be here, and like I said, you almost got killed. Oh, you are just gonna get killed here, maybe? Yep, yeah. Like, I don't think it was necessarily worth it for you to die there. I think you maybe could have lived there. Yeah. I think you definitely could have baited the Abaddon into catching you down there. Like, to put it this way, like, it's a good thing that your Wraith King killed the Abaddon and makes it not nearly as bad as if you had just gotten killed by yourself. But I think you just could have played better there in general. There was no need to keep attacking the Abaddon once he already had his shield up. And, okay, here's another issue. So again, this is another thing I see a lot, like almost every game with these rankings. So it's 3 minutes into the game, and with your first 200 gold, you bought a magic stick. And the problem with this is that as a support, you really need to save gold for boots. Because the faster you are in Dota, the faster you're able to catch up to enemies and run from them as well. Like that Abaddon there, you would not have died if you had boots. But because he had boots, he had a 55 movement speed advantage on you, which means that you can't really kite him at all. It's going to be impossible for you to kite him unless you have additional stuns and slows to back you up. And because it's only 3 minutes into the game, you can't always bank on your allies being there, especially at your rating. Like, Magic Stick is great. Wand is a fantastic item, and I think most supports should get it in most games. But you need boots early, especially because, like, you're never going to get stick charges from Viper unless he casts his ultimate, so he's basically irrelevant. In Abaddon, you're only going to get points when he uses his shield. And although that is good, that's not really enough to make up for boots. You could be 200 gold closer to your boots right now, and that would make much more of a difference if you could save up to that. And the other issue is, because you bought a stick, you didn't get a chance to TP to the tower. So I just want to take a quick look and see when you bought that. Okay, so you bought it now, so that means you had to wait on the fountain for a TP scroll. And as soon as what you could have done is, because there was definitely less than 10 seconds, like, you could have sold your stick now for the entire gold back. You could have sold your stick and got a TP and TP here, and maybe you've killed the Viper. Like, I don't know for sure if you would have, but it would definitely be a maybe. In case you didn't know, most items have a 10-second grace period where you can sell or disassemble them for the full price, as long as you don't use them. Yeah, your Wraith King died here. You would have been able to TP earlier and at least save the Wraith King if you didn't buy that stick to begin with.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
I can see what you're going for here. You thought he was within tower range, I'm guessing. So you were trying to get him, to kill him. By him being stuck on the tower range, getting more attacks on him. I mean, it wasn't a bad idea, especially because your creeps were already attacking him, and he doesn't have a stout shield. I think that just comes down to experience and learning where the tower ranges are. In case you didn't know, there's an option within the game to show tower ranges if you hold the alt button. It's pretty useful. And again here, so this is a trend I'm noticing. And I see this a lot. People just throwing out their spells randomly. So, like I mentioned earlier, Venge isn't that mana dependent, but she's mana dependent enough that you need to be mindful of when you cast your spells. So, casting a magic missile here, like, what's it really going to do? Are you really going to be able to go on them with the Viper there, with his poison attack and nether toxin? Most likely not, especially because he has a mango, so he'll definitely have his shield up. Every magic missile you cast needs to have a purpose. Like, at least the last one you casted, I'm assuming you were trying to get the Abaddon within range here at the tower, but you just barely got him out of there. But with this one over here, I'm not really sure what your entire purpose was. And if it did have a purpose, I am almost sure that it was wrong.
coin helps.
Did you pull that? Well, I'm trying to see if he pulled this on purpose. Okay, no, it looks like you didn't pull that on purpose. So one thing I know you didn't pull this on purpose, but you really don't want to do just like single small camp pulls against a offlane like this, because if you do, what's going to happen is these 3 creeps are going to meet with these 4 creeps over here, and you're going to have a 6 or 7 creep wave, which means that effectively your wave is going to push up all the way to like here or even up here if you're unlucky. And that's the last thing you want to happen against a lineup like them. Like I said, I'm aware you probably didn't intend for that to happen, but just something to keep in mind. Let's go ahead and skip ahead a little bit. Yeah, again, this wasn't a great idea, because as soon as the Baden showed up, you should have just backed off, because he had already cast his shield, and now that his shield is level 2, he has it's a 140 damage swing, along with the heal, so you are definitely not going to kill this Viper. Okay, you are TPing bot. Okay, and here's the other thing. So, again, 6 minutes into the game, you spent the last remaining gold on TP scrolls and wards. Again, like, you may not have died here if you had boots. I'm not entirely sure, but there's a chance you would have lived. And now, it's 6 minutes into the game, and you don't have boots. Now, I realize your games may be different from mine, but let me tell you something I've learned as support. As I've played support more and more, I've learned that the timing of my boots strongly determines how well the game is going to go for me. I know that if I get boots in the first 3 minutes, I'm going to have a great game. If I get boots between 3 minutes and 5 minutes, then I'm going to have a fairly good game. If I get boots after 5 minutes, it's usually going to be a pretty bad game for me. And if I get boots after 8 minutes, then the game, I almost never win those games. It's usually very hard to win them. Like, wards are great and all, and I'm not one of those people who would ever say, oh, leave the wards in 4-stock because your allies will never use them. No, I wouldn't say that. But what I would say is that wards are not worth trading for your starting boots in the beginning of the game. Like, if you really wanted to buy wards here, just buy 1 ward and don't buy a TP and just walk to lane. Unless someone's getting dove in lane, you didn't need to necessarily have a TP there. You just needed, the thing is, you needed to save for boots drastically. Okay, I like that. Let's see if you can manage to get the kill. Yeah, that was unfortunate. Let me see if there's anything you could have done there. That's unfortunate that Wind Ranger missed her shackle. I mean, one thing you could have tried there was to not use your Wave of Terror until Grave was used. You used it here. Okay, you know what? In that case, that kill might not have been salvageable no matter what. It was just on the Wind Ranger to land her power shot. Okay. But I like what you did there. I think you did about as well as you could have,
Top tower is
considering
under
the
attack.
circumstances.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack.
Okay, you're TPing top. You should have. I think you should have popped the clarity. Yeah, you should have popped the clarity before you TP'd. So, take another look. Okay. So, right now, you probably should have popped your clarity. You probably should have popped it right before you TP'd. Because right now, you haven't have enough mana for your combo. But when you consider that you need 75 mana for the TP, that kind of throws all that math out the window. So you should have already used your clarity by this point, at least to make sure you get stunned. At least you got a 1 kill anyways.
Dire's middle tower is
And unfortunately, I clearly got cancelled by the Dazzle here. Oh well. Again, it's 8 minutes into the game, and you still don't have boots. Like, I know that in theory the, oh boy, okay. So I know that in theory the Wind Ranger, if she was supporting, should have helped you. But it's getting more boots, just more important. And again, you walk over to the side shop, and you finish your Bacillus, and you don't even have boots yet. This means you're definitely not going to get boots until 10 minutes. And so let's look at what upgrading your Auriga Protection into Bacillus gives you. I've already mentioned why I don't like Bassi myself, but let's compare what you get from this versus saving for boots. So you get 7 damage and a 0.65 mana per second. The armor for you stays exactly the same, it just extends to your teammates as well, and the creeps if you want it to. Now, the thing is, like, the mana for your other heroes is nice, but you're not necessarily going to be staying next to them all the time for them to reap the benefits. Also, the Sage's Mask costs 325 gold, so you would have had, like, almost 350 here, which is just, like, 1 or 2 creeps away from your boots. With your boots, you have 45 extra movement speed that puts you up to 345. And let's look at what the difference is for these heroes. A Viper has a 330 movement speed advantage over you. Abaddon has a massive speed bonus because he has Curse and his Phase Boots. I don't know what the math is, but it's probably something obscene like 150 or something. Tiny has a 70 movement speed bonus. And I can't see the other heroes right now. Spectre has a 35, not including the Dagger. And the reason I'm pointing that out is because the higher your speed difference is compared to another hero, the faster you can either run away from them or catch up with them. So that means if your speed is lower than another hero, you are effectively in a lot of situations never going to outrun them unless you have your allies to back you up. And with such large speed differences like this, you're just going to die a lot, and I bet this is why you died like 12 times this game or something. Boots are just that important to support. Like, if you don't want to upgrade them that early, then you can put them off, especially on a hero like Venge, but waiting this long to even get the brown boots is just insane. And if you do this in a lot of your games, then I have a feeling that's why you die so much in the early game.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's top tower has fallen.
Okay, what are you doing now? There was no need to walk all the way back to base for this. You could have just called the courier to you. You didn't need the ward that badly that you've already got 3 wards on the map. You don't need the ward that badly to go all the way back to base and then call the courier.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Okay, I like the stun there. You stunned him immediately as he walked up. Yeah, that was unfortunate. I mean, I like that you stunned him there, but you probably should have walked back after you did that. And I mean, I'll be honest here, without boots, there's no way you're running away from that fight. Like, almost every single hero on their team has boots, and you don't. So if you get into a fight, it's literally impossible for you to leave. For you to get away without dying, just about. Because, I mean, look at the heroes. Look at what their heroes are going to do. What's Viper going to do in a fight? Well, he's going to lay down his Viper Strike, and then Q people until they die, right? He's going to use his poison attack until his target dies, and then switch to a new one, and so on. So if you get slowed by his poison attack, you're going to be at like 30%. You're going to be at like 200 movement speed. So it's impossible for you to run away from a Viper if he even attacks you once. Dazzle has a minor slow. It's not really that important, but it is going to exacerbate the speed issue for you. Abaddon, he's literally just going to run up to you, use his shield, and just attack you over and over and over. And because you don't have boots, you're extremely susceptible to it. Tiny, he's going to run up to you and combo you with his avalanche and toss combo. And with your low movement speed, it's incredibly hard to run away. Inspector, her haunt illusions actually move at 400 base movement speed, so they are very fast, and that means that it's pretty much impossible to run away from the illusion for you. So you're going to take a lot of damage from it, and especially with the spectral dagger, is slowing you down. Well, she doesn't have that many points in it, so it doesn't matter that much. But again, it's just going to contribute to the issue of you dying over and over again because you did not get boots early. It's already 11 minutes, and you're not even a fourth of the way to your boots. Okay, you're now almost halfway, but still. I like that you're farming the neutrals here. At least you're taking advantage of your hero. You can farm some creep camps with efficiency because you have good damage, and you have the armor from Bassi as well. And you also have the Wave of Terror and Aura to help you out. So I like that you were doing that there. Okay, and you finally get your boots at 12 minutes. Quite frankly, that's terrible. And that kit by itself can lose you games. Like, there was at least one death that I know you could have avoided if you had boots earlier. I'm not entirely sure why you did that. So let's back up a bit. Okay. So I don't know what your thought process was here. I'm assuming that you were in tower range and you wanted to swap the Abaddon and then stun him so he would be attacked by tower. But there are a couple things wrong with this. So you walk up to the wave, and then Abaddon is attacking the creeps. Now, he uses his shield, and because he has a bunch of points in it already, it's very strong, and it's going to be a huge health swing. So really, there's no reason for you to attack him during his shield if you aren't going to effectively break it. Like in this situation, none of your allies are near you, your Axe is farming jungle, your Wraith King is farming top, and your Wind Ranger is farming bottom, and Sniper is getting killed over here. Now realistically, your allies are not coming in to help you right here. Like if you see a TP here, if you see one of your allies coming, then feel free to attempt this, but right now it's just not going to work. And additionally, I'm not sure how new you are to this game or how familiar you are with the heroes, but the thing is, even if you got the Abaddon within a tower range and stunned him within it, and he took a bunch of damage from tower, he still has borrowed time. And unless you've seen him use his borrowed time recently, you're not going to kill him by yourself. It's just going to be impossible, because it's going to activate, and then he's not going to let you kill him after that in most situations. Like again, that was just a wasted swap. There was no reason to do it there. If you're not familiar with heroes, that's something that will come in time. But if you don't know what a hero does, like Abaddon, then I would suggest that while you are in the picking screen, to just going on the Dota buff and searching in the heroes that the enemy team is picking, and your team too if you wish. No, I mean, maybe you just didn't think about it in the situation, and that's fine. I was just offering things you could do if you were not necessarily aware of the intricacies of every hero. So you are building into an Aquila right now, and again, I don't really like Aquila, and here's why. So especially because you're pretty far behind already. You've got 4 deaths. It's 13 minutes into the game, and you have Boots, Bassi, Stick. And here's what you're paying for. You're getting the Aquila. So the difference between this and Bassi is that you get extra 3 damage, 3 strength, 9 agility, and 3 intelligence. That's literally the only benefit you get from combining those with your for your approximate 45 gold for the Wraith Band. But what you could do instead is you could upgrade your stick to a magic wand for 265 gold, and that will give you not only does it give you 4 to all stats, but it also increases the amount of charges it can hold. And yeah, that's it. That's all it does, but it's pretty significant. Like the extra 4 to all attributes and the 17 charges, you'd be surprised at how much of a difference that can make. That's why I like to buy Wand on almost every support hero. Other things you could buy a infused raindrop that would give you more mana regen and block some magic damage. You could get a wind lace that would make you faster and less likely to be chased down by their heroes. You could start a medallion. Medallion's an excellent item on Venge. Personally, I would get it almost every game because Solar Crest is just ridiculously powerful this patch. But that's up to you. But like I said, for a support Venge, Aquila just doesn't give enough for its cost, at least to me, to justify it. Maybe if you're snowballing and doing really well early, you can get it. But right now, you're going to get it at like 16, 17 minutes into the game, maybe later. It's just not going to offer enough for its cost. You could even get something like, say, an urn, or upgrade your boots if you wanted.
Tribute to my house.
Let's see what you're doing here. You're currently waiting for the Spectre to walk up, I guess. Let's see what you're looking at right now. While you're looking, don't think I would have swapped at that point because she was mostly safe. Once she got to the tower and the Tiny backed off, she was mostly safe. I don't think they would have continued to go on here from there. And let me see if Tiny blinked on her earlier. So I'm guessing Tiny blinked in here. Yeah, he did. And you even saw him. I'm pretty sure you clicked on him here, and you saw that he has a blink dagger. So you see him blink, go up to this Wind Ranger, and almost kill her. You swap to save her. But the thing is, you just stay around here. Like, you even see him in the fog. You see him right here. Like, playing Dota is sort of about connecting the dots. Like, you saw him blink onto the Wind Ranger, and you saw him have the blink over here when he was waiting, and you also saw him when he walked over here. You have to realize that whenever you see a Tiny in a lane like this, and he has a blink, you have to be mindful of your own positioning, because you have to put yourself in the shoes of another hero, and sort of realize what they're going to do. Like, for example, you might know that if you see a Tiny with blink around here and he doesn't leave, he doesn't have any reason to leave because his health and mana are fine, then he's probably going to stick around and see if he can get another kill over here, or maybe farm a jungle camp and then come back. It's just something that comes with experience and time. One thing you can do is, one thing that's helped my play personally was to continually ask myself specific questions like, for example, who can I kill during this game? What should I save my spells for? So, for example, in your case, what situation should I nether swap in? What heroes can kill me right now in this part of the game? What heroes are the biggest threat to me? So right now in this game, I can tell you the biggest threat to you is Tiny, because he has a blink, and he has 1 level of grow, and his 2 combos maxed. So he can kill you in just 1 combo using that, just like he did here to the sniper. Now, the laning is over here, and you died 5 times during this game. Let me see if I can look at the scoreboard. Okay, so you died 12 times in about like a 33-minute game, and about half your deaths were in the first 15 minutes. So I think it appears to me that the majority of your deaths are coming from the early game. So I think you need to improve your positioning, as well as the way you use your abilities. Like I said earlier, every stun you do should have a purpose, an explicit purpose, not just necessarily using the ability to harass. Like in some situations with some heroes and some abilities, that's fine. But on Vengeful Spirits, it usually isn't unless the hero you're doing it to is very squishy, and you're able to get a ton of damage off to them during the stun. But just using the stun itself isn't really worth it if you're not going to get any additional damage off, or save someone's life, or kill them. Now, I'm not going to review the rest of the game, but looking at the rest of your stuff here, I like Force Staff on Venge a lot. It's a great item, fantastic, and Hurricane Pike is a natural upgrade to that. But I think with all the nerfs to Dragon Lance and Hurricane Pike recently, I don't think you necessarily want to upgrade to Pike immediately. I think just grabbing the Force Staff to begin with is fine. Like if you're snowballing and you're getting lots of kills and doing lots of damage, then I think it would be fine to grab to upgrade right away into a Pike. But in this game, like, you had a terrible start, and you were against 4 extremely tanky heroes, along with a Dazzle, who has his heal, and his weave, which increases the armor of their team. And that means it's going to be incredibly difficult for you to actually deal any damage to the other team, which is where a lot of the utility from Hurricane Pike comes from, because it gives you a bunch of stats, and also gives you the active, which allows you to deal lots of damage to someone from a high range, right? So against this team, and given how terrible you had to start out with, I would just buy Force, and then go on something else. It looks like you were building a Deso this game. I can't tell for sure, but it looks like you were. I wouldn't do that, because like Deso and Venge can be fine, but again, in this situation where they have all these tanky heroes and you have a terrible start, it's just not a good idea, because as soon as you walk up to place the Desolator debuff on somebody, you're just going to get jumped on and killed most likely. So in those situations, I think a Medallion into Solar Crest is just much better. Like this game, you could have gone like Boots, Treads, Force Staff, Wand, Medallion, Solar Crest, or something. And so again, to summarize, just work on your positioning, be mindful of how your enemies' skills work, and who you need to be careful of, and who you need to try to kill, who you are capable of killing. And, oh yeah, the most important part, again, don't put off your boots for like the first 10 minutes of the match. Go get your boots as soon as possible. Ideally, you wouldn't buy anything else before them, unless you like wanted to buy 1 sentry because you saw the enemy place a ward somewhere. And the reason for that is because D-wards are essentially free nowadays. Like if you D-ward a sentry, Absorber ward I mean, you get 100 gold and 25 experience. So you don't lose anything by D-warding there. So If you have any questions, feel free to message me or leave a comment, and I will answer to the best of my ability. Hope I was able to help you out some.